In these perilous times, see from current events how biblical prophecy is coming to pass in front of our eyes. You're watching In the Last Days, the program that looks at Israel and the end times with teaching from a Hebraic perspective. With Martin and Natalie Blackham, thank you to our friends and partners who make this program possible. Now, here's Martin and Natalie.
Hi, welcome to the In the Last Days television program from Jerusalem, Israel, and we're the program that looks at Israel. We look at the news and we bring to you interviews from key people in the land. And today we have a special guest in the studio, David Bedein, who is the Bureau Chief,
the Israel Resource News Agency, and the Director of the Center for Near East Policy Research.
So thank you so much for coming in today. We welcome you to the studio. You're going to find this so interesting, so let your friends know about the program. We'll be going to talk, and David's speciality really is the investigation of the UNRWA, which is the United Nations Relief and what's the W?
Works Agency.
Works Agency, which is, you'd imagine that the United Nations Relief Agency is doing a good work in Israel, but today you're going to learn what they're really doing. So welcome to the program, David.
Thank you very much. It's good to be here and to try to talk to people about what, you know, it's like criticizing Mother Teresa, or criticizing someone who's supposed to be so pure, something from the United Nations which is supposed to promote peace. However, what our agency has been doing for the last 25 years is looking at UNRWA, which runs refugee camps under the premise and promise of what they call the right of return to homes from before 48 by means of the armed struggle, what they call by force of arms.
So this is the right of return for our viewers at home. This is the Palestinians who think that they should go back to places that they were in.
That's correct.
And not caring about sovereignty or anything, just literally taking it back.
That's correct. It's viewed as a personal right. Abbas, the current head of the Palestinian Authority, always pushes the idea everyone has a personal right to claim his home from 48. But what's most important to understand is that the location of every place, this is what's taught in Palestinian schools, in UNRWA camps, in the United Nations Relief and Working Agency camps, where you have a situation where the people in the Palestinian Authority are seeing an economic boom, economic improvement, etc. The people are being kept in the camps, in a sense, as hostages by the United Nations under false premises that their homes in Tel Aviv, Jerusalem, Haifa, everywhere else are going to go back to them, which is just of course not having to do with any reality. The whole world reports that what the Arabs want is what they call Judea, Samaria, Gaza, West Bank, and Gaza, but that's not what's going on. What's happening here is that the people in 59 refugee camps, which are spread in the Arab world, right? And you have in Lebanon, you have in Syria, you have in Jordan, you have in Judea, Samaria, and Gaza. You have these 59 refugee camps, which now comprise more than 5 million people. 5 million people who are kept in decrepit conditions in a manipulative way. Now, UNRWA says their theme is peace starts here, but actually war starts here. And what we've been showing, we take the school books, which the kids are instructed as part of their education, 492,000 children, that they must engage in the liberation of all of Palestine by force of arms. And every child who...
These are the Palestinian children in the schools.
That's right, in the schools and the UNRWA camps. And every child gets a map like this. Now this happens to be in English. This was for Palestinian school children in London, so they gave it to them in English. But to show them where they're going back to Haifa, to Nazareth, to Beisan, Beit Shan, to Jaffa, to all the places, Ramla, to Jerusalem, to every place that they lost in 48. And that's the whole point. And they have a listing of where their villages were. And if you open up your computers and you see a listing called PalestineRemembered.com, that becomes the most important part of their education, to know where they're going back to.
So the problem is that they are looking to change history in a way, to try and reverse.
Sure.
You know, and not just history. The fact is that Israel is the land of the Jewish people,
Sure.
and the problem that you're saying is that they're looking to remove the Jewish people.
Absolutely, and that's been the point of the Arab League. The League of Arab Nations in 1945 was created with a charter saying that they must eradicate the Zionist presence from the Middle East, and in 1948, the Arab League declared war, total war, on the nation-state of Israel, and that war continues to this day. The PLO, the Palestine Liberation Organization, was set up by the Arab League. They set up the Palestinian Authority. They also encouraged the establishment of UNRWA, and they all have one purpose: wiping out the Jewish homeland. Now, this is not readily apparent to most people in Israel or abroad, because they use the cover of what they call a peace process. But that peace process, from their point of view, and they say it all the time, is a means to an end. The end is very, very clear: the end of Israel. Now, they do not. There are Muslims in the world who do recognize the partial portions of the Quran which recognize that Israel, the land of Israel, belongs to the Jewish people, but not this area of Islam. If you go to the Islam in Indonesia, even Malaysia, Bangladesh, places like that, that's what they learn there. That's not what they learn here. They did not learn that the Jewish people should have primacy in the land of Israel. And it's not that they're trying to reverse history. They're trying to continue history. They're trying to win the war. They have a war they want to win, the war to exterminate the state of Israel.
Now, if you've just tuned in, we've got David Bedein in the studio, and it's great to have you. David's an investigative journalist. And if they want to find out more about you, David, they can go to your website.
Our website, IsraelBehindTheNews.com, provides comprehensive investigative studies. We do not put out material based on guesswork. We had a credibility problem. After we bought the Palestinian school books, Arafat, I met Arafat, he said, you can go, here's a letter, go buy the new Palestinian school books. So we bought them 14 years ago. We bought the Palestinian school books, which, as I mentioned before, stress values of jihad, holy war, shahidism, martyrdom, and things like that, and of course, taking back all of Palestine. We had a credibility problem in our agency. Who believed us? So we started 4 years ago making movies of what's happening in the schools, and we worked with Arab TV crews. We started filming the schools, and their summer camps. We produced a movie called Camp Jihad last summer. We're producing another movie this summer. And again, we show exactly what is going on.
Now, one of your movies, I understand, was even shown to John Kerry.
That's correct.
By the Prime Minister.
The Prime Minister of Israel screened our film Camp Jihad for John Kerry and for the United Nations Secretary General Ban Ki-moon. The reason he did that was because the UNRWA claimed that we fabricated the whole movie. And I think that you should have the UNRWA spokesman sit here, and certainly on the Temple Mount, and defend himself. Ask him how is that David Bedein and his staff fabricated the movie. Well, and that's there. When he said that, Prime Minister Netanyahu checked it out. He met our staff people who work with us, some of whom have a background in Israeli intelligence. And he asked them, what's going on? He said, how can it be that they fabricated? It's even worse than what's on that film. That's why he screened it. Because you screen it, and it shows for itself exactly what's being taught in the schools.
And what we're talking about is young children who are being indoctrinated to carry out terrorism.
Right, absolutely, and by the United Nations with Western funding. Now, I want to be very clear about something. If the funding for UNRWA, the United Nations Relief and Work Agency, were coming from Iran or coming from Saudi Arabia, we couldn't do too much about that. But of the $1.2 billion that comes to UNRWA, more than $1.1 billion comes from Western democratic nations. Now, my request to the people watching this program is not only to go and pray for a better Israel. I'm all for praying. I wear this kippah because of our connection to God above. But I do believe this is the opportunity to appeal to parliaments abroad and to say, excuse me, but since we've also revealed in our research that Hamas took over the schools in UNRWA and the unions of the school teachers and of the administrators, meaning that all funds coming into UNRWA are siphoned through terrorists. Now, this is your opportunity to go to your parliaments to bring our experts and have people interrogate them, because our experts are all fluent in Arabic. They've gone through the material very carefully, and what's very important to understand is that the people who live in the camps are not ashamed to say anything. They've also been taking a lot of films of themselves as they created clubs in the camps called Al-Qutla, basically come from the Hebrew word for ketel, which means murder, how to murder the Jews. And they have little clubs like this in the schools. So they've been filming themselves doing this. And in the next area of the next battleground of conflict, what they're planning to do, and they say it very openly, is to send thousands of children to rush the borders so that thousands of children will be killed and Israel will be blamed for that. And they've been taking YouTubes of every child in the UNRWA camps who would be sent into battle, so they would have these little Gerber baby children, innocent children that Israel killed. Well, that's what they're planning to do. I want to say, thank you again for having me on this program. And sometimes we have a journalist. The journalist has asked, what's been the most traumatic moments of your work? And for me, 10 years ago, or actually 12 years ago, when Israel went into the Arafat's headquarters and got a hold of some of the internal memos, they saw the meeting, the protocols of a meeting that Arafat had of his council. And what was he saying together with Abbas? We don't have enough dead children to show the world this week. What can we do about that? We do not have enough dead children to show this week. So this is where it's so important that they're using the UNRWA schools, which they hope to produce dead children from in the next area of conflict. So those of you out there who want to defend Israel and to want to preach the good side of Israel, there are those people, Jews and Christians and Muslims abroad, who want to paint Israel as child killers. Well, that's the next stage. So if you're asking me for good news, I'm not the one. I'm not the one, but I'm telling you that's what they're planning to do.
And we do have a lot of the viewers, David, who are very active and like to get involved in politics. And you indeed have been in the British Parliament.
Yes, on 3 occasions. The last one was on March 13th, which this year came out as the Tzanit Esther, the day that Esther fasted before seeing the king. I felt that was very important. But I brought our experts there for a meeting with members of Parliament, an off-the-record meeting, and then a public meeting with people who cared. We brought one expert who had translated the new school books, another expert who had documented the Hamas takeover of the schools. And it's on our website, IsraelBehindTheNews.com, both in English and Hebrew. And our hope is to come back. The British Parliament is right now having its own investigative study of the wasted funds that are going into areas of aid for Palestinians. The European Union and the European Parliament is having a similar.
Do we know if, in particular, because we have a lot of viewers in the United Kingdom, how much money is coming from the United Kingdom into this organisation?
If I'm not mistaken, it's $25 million per year.
Just from the UK?
Yes.
And this is the United Nations
Relief and Work Agency.
Just in this area?
That's correct. And mostly for the schools. And there's also a separate budget which goes into the Gaza schools that are under Hamas direction.
So if people who are watching today want to get involved and write to their Member of Parliament,
well,
they can...
what I recommend if someone wants to write a Member of Parliament is very simple. You take our material that's on our website at IsraelBehindTheNews.com under UNRWA, which is a special section on UNRWA. You take that material, take our videos also, but use the documented reports we put up about Hamas takeover of the schools and about the textbooks, and say, is this something that advances the cause of peace or reconciliation in the Middle East? Is this not a waste of your money? As a matter of fact, is it not illegal because the UK, the European Union, Canada, the US, Australia, all define Hamas as a terrorist organization? There you go. Now, it must be pointed out that the Palestinian Authority has been working very clearly with Hamas since its inception. But the attempts of the politically correct media to, in a sense, cover that up and to hope for better days has been something that we've been witness to. UNRWA also has tremendous public relations, and you look on their website, they show the children getting health, education, and welfare aid, and so we're not saying to cut it off. We're saying introduce reforms.
And to hold them accountable.
Absolutely, 2 issues: accountability and reform.
And
education reform.
And if you're watching today, you can get involved in that by contacting your Member of Parliament or they're watching across the world as well via the internet, whoever's your government representative, and put this to them and say, that these organisations need to be accountable. And the problem is, David, is that if children are brought up with this, if
Yes.
they're indoctrinated, which is what's happening. They're being, every day they're getting this map that we've seen today of Israel with the wrong names on it. They're getting this forced into their mind that how can we have a peace with the children brought up in this?
I can say from the Palestinian families I know, I'm in Israel for 44 years, and many of my Palestinian friends, who are my genuine friends, their children, when they come home singing songs of Itbach Elihud, let's kill all the Jews, and my friend says, he doesn't mean you. I said, what am I, chopped liver? What do you mean he doesn't mean me? The whole point is that is education. It's very hard to put the toothpaste back in the tube. If you remember nothing else from this interview, remember that one. And by the way, in terms of your parliaments, all parliaments have open forums. Bring our experts to your parliaments, because the other side doesn't hesitate to bring their liars to their forums and say things are fabricated, it's not happening, and all that kind of stuff. Because UNRWA has a $10 million public relations budget. They're using it. They're using it very, very well. They sent a singer from all over the West singing songs about the beauty of Gaza. They just forgot to translate a lot of the songs where he's talking about let's create more martyrs and create a jihad and liberate all of Palestine. It's small details. But again, our experts who know Arabic will come to your local parliament, will come to your local council, will come to your church, your synagogue, wherever you are, and make presentations based on fact, not based on any fantasy or even political position. It's not important where we stand politically. What's important is that we get the truth out about a system designed to liberate all of Palestine, as they say, kill all the Jews, get rid of Israel, and they seem so innocuous in the way they come across. And our point is that the UNRWA can be held accountable. They have, and the important thing here, from a newsworthy point of view, is that on June 30th, the UNRWA mandate is coming up for renewal. It's going to be renewed, but every Western country that gives money to UNRWA can say, excuse me, but let's introduce a policy of education reform and accountability. The amount of social services, health, education, social services that are double, triple, and quadruple funded with monies that go to unclear sources, that's another issue which has to be dealt with. And that's a matter of auditing their funds.
One of the important things in the news today is I'll just grab the Jerusalem Post and get that on the camera. It says Hamas PLO announce reconciliation agreements. Hamas, of course, being a terrorist organization with the PLO.
And the PLO is also.
And what I found very interesting, I've just got this off the Sky News website. It says Palestinian unity deal threat to peace talks. This, then I've got a picture of. I don't really know who they are, but there's Hamas there and possibly Fatah. Yeah. But in the background, David, and this is off the Sky web. This is Sky News. It's got a row of images, faces, and I'm guessing those are terrorists. Am I right?
The person I recognize immediately is, these are all terrorists who have people who have met their maker, and they've all murdered Jews, and I recognize them right away.
So what we're talking about is that we have the Palestinian Authority and the Hamas making a so-called peace agreement, or making an agreement together with terrorists next to them. And
not only terrorists. I don't know what a terrorist is, because that word is used all over. Look, let's be very clear about something. There's never been an entity, ever before, to praise those who commit acts of murder. Okay? There's never been an entity ever before to have school books which explicitly say go and kill people. There's never been an entity which honors those who kill people. Now, you say, what about the Nazis? The Nazis always did it through implicit hints. The Jews are vermin and all that kind of stuff, which, by the way, they also say in their school books. But here you have pictures where they honor those who have committed acts of murder. Now, that is not something we've seen ever before in history, ever before. And I want to be very clear, they're so proud of it. That's why those of us in the world of investigative journalism covering the Palestinian Authority, covering UNRWA, in a sense, our work is cut out for us. Many journalists come up to me. I've been in the field of investigative journalism for 27 years. They say to the people who work for the mainstream media, David, we can't put out what you put out. Why not? Because our editors want to hear sounds of peace. Well, so do I. I have 6 children here, and I've been here and 2 grandchildren. We want a life of peace. Of course we do. What am I going to do? Work for Walt Disney? And fairy tales can come true. They can happen to you. I can't sing, by the way. But by the way, in our work in investigative journalism, if you don't have a sense of humor, forget about it. But I'm saying to you, are we supposed to be fictitious? Are we supposed to say, and that's unfortunately what we just had. We've had so many people who they have Arabs come out and they talk about their desire for peace and all that. So long as they say June 4th borders plus refugees. What does June 4th borders mean? That means that the old city of Jerusalem would once again be handed over to the Arabs, and no Jew would be allowed to move in there. And what's this symbolic right of return? Take only 100,000. 100,000 people who would claim properties from 48 and move people out of there. Now, I participated as a journalist in these visits that people come from the UNRWA camps to look at their homes from 48. And they're saying, gee, and they have now on the computer charts through their research who's lived there and who hasn't lived there and who has taken their homes. And they talk very matter-of-factly about killing the people who live there in Tel Aviv, in Jerusalem, and everywhere else. And that's the education. And
they're going to kill the people in Tel Aviv so that they can get back their home. That's what they're. That's their
absolutely. So if you see an Arab village here in the middle of Netanya, Khalid. Khalid is right here next to Netanya. Now, one third of Netanya was Khalid. Now, every time there were 9 bombings in Netanya, and what was the headlines in the Palestinian Authority press? The illegal settlement in Netanya, built on top of Khalid, was attacked today, and that's the way they say it, and that's the idea. They feel they have a right to kill every Jew in Netanya. Well, sorry, but this is not acceptable. Not only from a pro-Israel point of view, right? This is a clear humanitarian issue. The United Nations Relief and Work Agency is a humanitarian agency. I'm a social worker by profession, by the way. And a social worker, as someone who sets up a social service agency, first of all, you don't set up an agency on the basis of inappropriate and lying requirements, like you're sitting in this hut for 40, 50 years so you can go back to your home in Yaffo while the Palestinians are building a beautiful city, Ruwaybi, not far from there, and not allowing the people from the refugee camps to live there. Now, there's something wrong with that. Now, this is a humanitarian agency which betrays humanitarian principles, and that's the whole point here.
Now, people watching today will want to go and see some of your videos.
Sure.
And can you remind them of your
Sure.
website?
Our website, IsraelBehindTheNews.com. You'll see our 6 videos on UNRWA, and you'll be able to take a look at them. Camp Jihad, and there's also Inside the Palestinian Classroom. That's on our homepage. There's 4 other videos embedded inside the website. Take a look at them, and if you think that we fabricated them, then I guess we must have UNRWA Universal Studios someplace with a number of Palestinians dressing up for the part. But what's most important, take a look at it, ask us questions, write to us. It's fine. We want to engage in a dialogue.
Now, if they want to use the videos in their groups or to show to friends, are they allowed to do that?
Absolutely. And not only that, because of the invention of Skype, we've been giving Skype talks for groups over the last few months, and it works out very, very, very well. I just have to tell my dog to be more or less quiet while that happens, strangling the dog. But seriously, being able to give a talk from our living room when it's 3 o'clock in the morning in our time, and I think in late morning in Australia, and late afternoon in Los Angeles, whatever it is very, very good to do, very easy to do. It's a new technology from our office in Jerusalem. It's only a 2-hour difference from England. This is very important Q&A, and then the most important thing, of course, is to be able to bring our experts to dialogue with people, so people can look at. I didn't bring them today, but the 150 school books, we spread out the school books on the podium in the Parliament for everyone to take a look at them, and with people who know Arabic to explain what's in there. And they're going to deny it. The UNRWA is going to deny it, say they're all innocuous. Well, fine. If you find something for peace, let's move on it. By the way, the Palestinian Authority did create a curriculum for peace. Only one problem: they vetoed it. It was created at Berzeh University, not a Zionist university, a university near Ramallah, but it was vetoed.
Now, as we come to the end of the program, one of the questions I know our viewers will be very interested in knowing the answer to is how easy is it for us to access the materials or to get into the territories and find out what's going on? Is it very difficult? And obviously UNRWA doesn't want you filming or anybody filming.
They don't want me filming, but you know.
Is it easy to access
right
these
now?
areas?
Right now, UNRWA is so fearful of people filming them that they've been stopping weddings where people are filming. But on their own website, on the UNRWA website, also on the Hamas website, you're able to see a lot of them, what they call these days selfies, where they film themselves in their celebrations. Only recently has UNRWA been hesitant to have people come in and film there after we produced our films there. But generally, the Palestinian Authority is very, very happy to have people come in there. So is UNRWA happy to come in there. But I assure you that after the next round of fighting, when enough people, God forbid, will be killed, then they'll probably welcome people to come into their schools, welcome people to come into their celebrations of shahidim, of martyrs, and that's the opportunity to film them saying, we want more martyrs. It's hard to believe that a culture like that exists. The fact that a culture like that exists and it's being encouraged by the West, that's the problem.
Well, thank you so much for coming in today. We're out of time, David, and it's been great to have you with us, and thank you so much for explaining the difficulties of having to work with people who are being indoctrinated.
Sure.
And
the people aren't the problem. The problem is the United Nations Relief and Work Agency, which gets direct funding from 38 democratic nations, not through the United Nations, but directly to UNRWA. That's why I have hope, because since it's direct funding, there can be direct outcry.
And if you'd like to get in touch with David, you can get in touch with him at his website. And thank you so much for joining us today. If you'd like to visit our website, it's www.inthelastdays.com. Don't forget, you can email us. We love to receive your emails. The email address is info@inthelastdays.com. And remember, we're living in the last days.
You've been watching In the Last Days, a TV program with Martin and Natalie Blackham, the program that looks at Israel and the end times with teaching from a Hebraic perspective. If you would like to financially support the program or find out about conferences, meetings or ministry products, then please contact us with the details on your screen. Visit our easy-to-use website at www.inthelastdays.com and register for our free e-newsletter. Get the latest news from Israel, product information, online video teaching, or watch today's TV program at a time that's convenient to you. Thank you again, friends and partners, for making this program possible.
See you same time, same station for the next program from In the Last Days.